Good afternoon, everybody. I was asked to make an update on this ex-superintendent's contract. Why it's so bad that Larry and Wayne and the immoral board that we used to have would have given this guy a contract outside the limits of their law. Now, in America, governments, including school boards, which are governments, are limited by law. They just can't go off willy-nilly. I mean, the Auditor General himself chastised our district when Wayne Wentz and Larry Stern and Steve Holland went willy-nilly and failed to follow the law, acted in noncompliance, specifically about contracts, including the NEF contract and other things. But let's take a look at this specific to the superintendent's agreement or thing that this board tried to do outside of the limits of their law. So we're going to use this guy's filing as the basis because he's the one that submitted it. Therefore, that's your evidence. He's giving this evidence. Cleaver's giving this evidence. We will use his evidence to explain why this is one of the more ridiculous things in the world. However, we do have to make comment that, you know, this guy here, which I think is a commenter, I believe he's from Berwick. So, you know, if he's from Berwick, you know, who knows who that account really is. And this John Packer guy, gotta like John Packer. He says, this is what happens when you have evil, stupid people on the board. Hey, John Packer, you know, go introduce yourself to Steve Holland and have a conversation with him and see how in-depth he understands his limits of a law when he was a board of director and what he should and should not read and authorize. How about Rita or Larry? Right? Or you go back years, Dave Krause and Gloria Bowman. I mean, geez, John, you should definitely go out and visit some of these guys, and you can have some fun with that. As far as the case itself, it was brought by Jonathan Cleaver using this attorney. Here's the court filing that they had. Right? Jonathan Cleaver, Catherine Rowe. It's a quo warranto hearing. Here we go. Talking about breach of contract. Quo warranto. Quo warranto is just a hearing in front of the judge, finding out whether or not this person, specific person, has a legal right to hold office. Can you even have a contract with Jonathan Cleaver? And if so, does the board have the authority to make a contract? And if so, what are the limits and what are the requirements for the board to create a contract so that they can even hire a superintendent? And that's where we have an issue. Larry Stern, Wayne Wentz, Steve Holland, Rita Spinelli, and Nathan Foeller failed, in my opinion, to read the law and follow the law. They should have created a legal contract within the limits of their law. What does that mean? Well, let's take a look. Should they be cheaters is the idea. Can, under the Pennsylvania Department of Education, an extension may not allow the original term of the contract to exceed 5 years. This is basic laws. Let me get me out of here for a second. And let's take a look at this. Under Cleaver's filing. This is under his filing. We're going to go to page 21 first. Jonathan Cleaver signed that everything in this thing is true and correct. I wonder if he read it. You want to know why I wonder if he read it? Because back to the beginning here, Jonathan Cleaver, plaintiff, through his attorney, filed paperwork on these people, and he's warning them, notice you've been sued in court. These people have been sued in court. And they're saying you might lose money, property rights, or custody or visitation of your children. That makes no sense. When the grounds for divorce. Did this guy even read this case that he submitted to the Carbon County Court? I question it, right? If you do not file a claim for alimony, who's filing this paperwork and what's it in reference to? But it's pretty funny. But let's go back to the facts here. Under page 36, This is Larry filing renewal paperwork. He's going to renew this guy's contract. Now, Larry only has certain permission under the state law, what he can and can't do, and it looks like Larry exceeded those rights. In my opinion, when he filed this paperwork with the state, and Ed Rarick, right, signed as the secretary of the board, they checked this thing off saying it's a renewal. The board only authorized an extension. I know this sounds semantical, but it's not, because state law requires that these contracts do not exceed 5 years, and this is an extension on a 2012 contract. That's 10 years. That's the matter at hand. Can this commission that requires certain elements to be within this contract for the protection of the people? That's the key. The board is elected to protect the interest of the community. Therefore, they are a government agency limited by law that they have to do certain things. And one of the ways to protect the community is make sure that the superintendent's contract meets the law, meets certain requirements. What are those requirements? They're listed right here. 1073. All these contracts have to have these things. There's a list of them, right? The employment of the contract for district superintendent has requirements. Here they are. Now, when you take a look at this contract, give it up for a second here. The question is, does it meet those requirements? On its face. Now, they changed the law back in a little after 2012 when this thing was first written, but nobody caught it. Nobody took the time to read the new laws and make sure that the contract meets the requirements. And they're performance requirements. And this district has a performance issue. Protection of the students issue and other issues. The contract that those government officials should have made should have at least followed the law. If you don't follow the law, you're a cheater. If you don't follow the rules, you're a cheater. Larry Stern, when you don't follow the rules when you were a director, cheater. Wayne Wentz, cheater for not following the laws. You have a requirement to follow the laws. You didn't follow them. And it was obvious. And the state auditor general said, read contracts before you sign them. Read contracts before you release them. Read your lawful requirements of what you can and can't do. State auditor general gave him a warning. Follow Pennsylvania school code. Follow the code. It's easy to read. These are the things you're supposed to do. Follow the rules, Larry. Follow the rules, Steve. Follow the rules, Rita. Nathan, follow the rules or resign. That's the funny part about this whole situation. It's the fact that, like Mr. Packer says, when you have evil, stupid people on the board, yeah, get them to resign. Rita, happy you resigned. Larry, glad you resigned. Wayne, so happy you resigned. Made a moral board. Now these guys are trying to follow the law, make sure the contracts are legitimate, make sure they meet the law, make sure they meet the requirements. And then the old guy, Superintendent Cleaver, files this unique paperwork, in my opinion. Unique in the sense that it has alimony and child support and all sorts of crazy things inside of it. Along with the fact that he thinks that that contract should be reinstated when legally it's in violation of the law. All right, enough said. Thank you. Have a great day.